Hey everybody, it is Robert C. Stern with The Social Leader. Hope everybody's doing good and thank you for joining the next version of A Conversation Live. Today's guest is a little special to my heart, actually. She's a fellow I don't want to use the word old, sorry, a fellow person who used to live in New Jersey, not far from where I live. And she is a best-selling author, 2 different books, actually. And she has a company that helps authors that branding, marketing, building relationships to sell more books. Because let's face it, if you're writing a book, you want it to be sold. You don't want it sitting on your shelf or the box in the corner of your room, just collecting dust and hand out a book occasionally. So I am thankful that we met online and we've had great conversations. And Rachel Thompson, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we're fellow New Jerseyans, but I'm not even original New Jerseyan. I'm a Long Islander, so I'm a transplant.
I'm a Californian. Actually, I was born in Florida, which is interesting because that's where you are.
That is funny.
Yeah.
It's just everybody moves. Everybody moves. I mean, I look at my high school group. We had our 30th reunion a couple of years ago, and I would probably say maybe 10% are still on Long Island. Everybody else is off the island and somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that's what's great now about all this online stuff. You get to catch up with everybody.
Yeah.
And that actually goes into your business also, even with authors, that how you can relate and do things. So, but for people that don't know you, let's give a little history. Tell us about Rachel Thompson.
Well, currently what I'm doing is, like you said, I have 2 best-selling books, Broken Pieces and Broken Places, and they both are memoir and poetry. I've gone quite the route with both books. I self-published them initially. 2013, I released Broken Pieces, and I'll go into the content in a minute. And then Broken Places came out in 2015. I actually have 4 books out. My first 2 were humor books, titled A Walk in the Snark and The Man Code Exposed. Those are actually still available in print from other sellers, but they're no longer available in ebook, and I may republish them. So I actually have 4 books out, and those did quite well on Amazon. And I'm working on my 5th and 6th books right now, Broken People, which will be the 3rd in the Broken series, and then a business book called the 30-Day Bad Redhead Media Book Marketing Challenge, which is 99%.
So the first book that doesn't have the word broken in it.
Well, actually, Man Code Exposed and Walk in the Snark don't either. So, yeah. So, but my background is actually in big pharma. I was a representative for many, many years, a trainer. That's why I ended up going back east to home office from Northern California. I moved back there and lived through 4 winters, as I say. And then I came back to Northern California or Southern California, which is why I ended up being Rachel in the OC. I lived in Orange County for 17 years. And then I finally just had it, wanted to focus on family. And I have 2 children, ages 17 and almost 11, a boy and a girl. And then decided that lasted obviously I'm still a mom, but I just had to write. I've been writing since I was 10. And I started a blog soon after I had my son in 2005. So for maybe a nanosecond, I didn't work. I've been working since I was 14. I was a gymnast and needed to help pay for my lessons. My parents had 3 girls and 1 income. And my mom said, if you want your lessons, because I saw Olga Korbut in the 1972 Munich Olympics, and I said, I'm going to do that. And I just started doing flip-flops all over the place. And my mom said, all right, before she kills herself, let's get her into some yellow lessons. And I promptly did a flip-flop and landed on my head. And my mom said, all right, she was an x-ray tech. She'd seen enough concussions and she was like, okay, that's it. So I started working. And I've worked pretty much all my life, earned my own income. And I was married for 22 years and recently divorced, but it's cool. And I'm still working now. And so I released the books. I started blogging long before the books came out, back in 2007, probably, when my son was 2 and I was tired of talking to myself in the corner to the Legos. And basically, that's kind of how everything started. People were really interested in, I started the Man Code posts. My husband at the time would do these goofy things, and I just started writing about it. And he was a very good sport about it, still is to this day. And that's really where all of that came from. And it ended up that I was able to take what I had learned in pharmaceuticals. I always joke and say, you know, I'm recovered now. I've, you know, repossessed my soul from big pharma. But what I learned was how to build relationships with people, what to do and what, excuse me, what not to do. And that's really what I take into my business, which is Bad Redhead Media. And we can talk about that further, as well as how to sell books. And it's just not about pushing and spamming and, you know, blasting. It's about building relationships with readers.
And that's like a big thing between two groups of people. And it's really about that in business overall. It's not even just about books, but we're talking about books and stuff. You have the one group that will build it, and maybe a little bit slower than some ways, but they build it and it becomes a stronger situation. And then you have the other side where they literally, it's like throwing pasta against the wall. Yeah. They just plaster it, landing page, link it out, add it out, do this, do that, try to get it sponsored into everything else, to try to build books quickly in sales and thinking it's going to be this huge moneymaker.
Right.
And I'm curious your opinion, because I've spoken to other people that have written books and stuff. When you're going to write a book, are you writing it because you feel it's, well, there's 3 reasons in my point of view that you write a book. First reason, not me, but other people, it's more of, I'm going to make money. Mm-hmm. Second reason is more of, I want to share my education and my thoughts with people. If I can make some money at it, that's great, but I want to get that out. The third reason, which I think is more important reason, it's actually giving a little credibility. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're doing public speaking and getting invited, you have a book, you're an author. If it did become a bestseller, even if it's just Amazon, but whatever, it gives that more credibility. What is your take on that?
Well, I think there's actually a 4th reason, because it depends on the type of book that you are writing. For myself, for Broken Pieces and Broken Places, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And for me to come to terms with that and to put that out there, it took me over 30 years to be able to, as I say, befriend shame and to put my story out there. It's not explicit. I don't go into details. But what I talk about are the after effects and how I didn't understand a lot of what I experienced as a teen and primarily as a woman and a mother. And how it affected my life. And the reason I wanted to put that out there was so that other people wouldn't feel so alone. And so that other people would realize that they could tell their story, that they didn't have to feel ashamed, and that there is a community out there of people who would welcome them, and that they could understand their own experiences and bond with a community. And that is really what ended up happening. I didn't realize to the extent, and I've become so much more educated, and now that's part of my own advocacy and platform. And it just blew up. When I released Broken Pieces in 2013, I was inundated by primarily women, but men too, who had been abused and had never told a soul. And the stories were just heartbreaking, and people confided in me their stories, and I felt compelled to create a way for us all to talk about it, for them to have a safe place to discuss their stories, And social media ended up becoming the conduit and the way for us to connect. And I created Sex Abuse Chat, which is on Twitter, every Tuesday at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. But I wanted to make sure that I connected with somebody who is a professional, because I'm a writer. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I didn't have that background. So my co-host is also a survivor of childhood incest, but her story is amazing. Bobby Parrish. She has gone through so much, but at this point now has a master's degree in family therapy and is trauma trained, which is huge for a therapist, somebody who can work with others who have been through that kind of abuse. And so she and I do it together every Tuesday since 2013. And so but I also wanted a private group because some people just aren't over the shame, aren't ready to tell their stories, are terrified of the fact that Twitter is public. I made Sex Abuse Chat public because we need to realize that we did nothing wrong and we don't have anything to be ashamed about. But a lot of people are still in that type of situation where family or friends or perpetrators are coming after them, and it could be a dangerous situation. And so we had to have a private place. So I created a private secret Facebook group, and there's over 120 people in that group as well.
Oh, that's fantastic, because that's encouraging others that, when we hear about a death in the family or something that goes wrong, and our first intuition is, when they're going through hard times, you want to be there for them, but you got to be careful how you word things. And to say, we've all used this phrase, I totally understand what you're going through. You can't.
No, you can't.
And it's just like if you've never lost a parent to death, and your friend did, I understand how you feel. You actually can't, because you haven't been in that situation.
Exactly. And there's so many people who can't understand, who will tell people, oh, that happened so long ago, just get over it. And they don't understand the actual physiology, how it affects the brain and causes long-term consequences like post-traumatic stress disorder and all kinds of other mental health issues. And so, everybody's an armchair psychologist who tries to counsel us, and they have no idea. So it's important that people, to go back to your original question, people understand they're not alone. And that really was the thrust of my book, and why I wrote it, and why I wrote the second one, and actually now why I'm writing the third one, and that'll be the final one of the series. But I do believe, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
For my business book, I've had Bad Redhead Media now since 2011. I write a weekly blog, totally free. I started Book Marketing Chat, which is every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And just people can use that hashtag. This is a way to give back to authors. And so what I've done is I put together, this was in February, I offered a free every day for 30 days, except for it was February, so it was 28 days. But I threw in some extra stuff to make it 30 days. I offered for the month of January, I just sent out some tweets and some Facebook messages and to my email subscribers. And I said, if you want to sign up, I'm going to offer a free daily challenge. And every day I'm going to give you something to do with regards to book marketing, whether it's social media or promotion or blogging or website help. I'm not a website designer or anything, but I know enough about SEO to be dangerous. So I said, here's what I'm going to do. And I got 12 or 1,500 people who subscribed, which really blew me away. And I put together this free program for the month of February, and people loved it. And so I'm creating a book out of it. And like I said, it's the 30-day marketing challenge, book marketing challenge. And I'm just, like I said, I got signed by an agent and a publisher in May, and I'm this close to being done with that. So that should be out, I would say definitely by October for sure.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up about being signed, because this is like the buzz now. That's anybody who's trying to write a book or be an author or a business book or fictional book, doesn't matter what type of book, but the old adage now is, do I self-publish or do I try to get out there and get, quote, published?
Right, right.
Explain a little bit about both and I mean, give me some pros of each, some cons of
Sure.
each.
Well, I've done all of it, actually. I started as self-published, and then I signed with what they call a hybrid publisher. And now I actually have an agent, which is, everybody's dream. And I'm signed with a literary boutique publisher. I decided not to go with a huge publisher. Here's what I'll tell you is, regardless of how you are published, you will do all your own marketing. It doesn't matter. I've worked with one of my authors is a New York Times bestselling author. Her book is being made into a huge movie with a huge movie star. And with Bad Redhead Media, this is the client I'm discussing, I did her social media for 3 months. I did much of her book promotion. She still, of course, had a big PR person, and this lady lives in New York on Fifth Avenue, the whole 9 yards, right? Her publishing company is one of the big 5. They did none of that for her. So I think, and that's like every author's dream, right? That your book is going to be picked up by a huge movie star and made into a movie. I think people have to get over the fact that if they get that big contract, that multi-million-dollar contract and that big advance, that the publisher is going to do all that for you, because that is absolutely not true. This woman could not have been any bigger, and I was still doing her social media for her. And yeah, it was an awesome contract, and, paid my rent for 3 months, plus, a couple of nice other things. But I don't know why or where people feel that they're just going to sit back and eat bonbons and not have to do any marketing. It's absolutely not true. So I really feel that people have to become super educated about marketing their own work. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do with Bad Redhead Media. It's all about helping you help yourself. So with regard to social media, with self-publishing, I started that way pretty much because I guess I was busy. I had a 2-year-old. I thought, I'm just going to go this direction. But it's important, if you do self-publish, that you use professionals. I hired a professional editor, a professional formatter, a professional graphic artist. You have to put out the best work possible. And a lot of people will say, well, I just don't have the money and, I can't afford it. Well, then don't create a book. Because if your book sucks, your sales are going to suck and your reviews are going to suck. So why are you even doing it? You're a professional. If you want to be a professional writer, then act like a professional writer. Otherwise, you're just putting a book report up on the internet. And, would you want to read that? Would you want to pay money for that? Then no. So I just don't buy those excuses. You can actually go to companies like BookBaby or there's BiblioCrunch, and you can put in bids, or you can pay one price for like $300 or $400 for everything and go that direction. So I just hear, authors, I love authors. I'm an author, but so many authors are very lazy about putting up quality work. So if you're going to self-publish, it has to be just aces, because you're going in already as a self-published author. It's changed quite a bit. A lot of really popular authors, New York Times bestselling authors, have said, screw it, I'm tired of making 10% of my profits. I'm going to go self-published and make 70%. Why not? I already have the name. I already have the platform.
Yeah, if you only sell 20% like from before, you still made more money.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go do my own thing. Why not? And a lot of publishers are now making deals where, okay, you do all your marketing, you do all your own PR, and maybe, we'll give you we'll do a 70-30 split, or we'll do 50-50. Publishers are kind of getting hip to that. So a lot of that is really
self-publishing is really starting to take a hit on them now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, hybrid publishers are a mix of that. So I signed on with Book Trope, who actually ended up closing their doors in May, but I was with them for about 18 months. They published my second Broken book. And the way that they worked was the author paid nothing up front. They paid for all the creationary costs. And then everybody who worked on the book, editors, graphic artists, etc., were all paid out of royalties. So you were given a marketing manager, or you could do your own marketing. Either way, you still had to do all of your own marketing and promotion. But again, many authors felt that it was the job of the publisher to market their work. And that ultimately is, I think, what killed the company, because authors just had this expectation, well, you know, they're going to do everything for me and I don't have to do it. And that was never the case. So that's it became very controversial.
Well, I look at it as, you know, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, because I mean, this is your field of expertise and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You do, in your business concept, whether you're an author of nonfiction, you're an author of business, you're in business and you want to write a book about your business and your industry, or about like I'm in the process of, we've had this discussion, trying to get my book together. And, you know, it's my own fault it's not out. It probably should have been out a year ago. And I'm just, you know, lazy. I'm doing the squirrel method. I keep getting pulled away from it.
Yeah, that's most authors, to be honest.
But you know, if you're a author and that's your business, that's one thing. But like, I actually have a business that pays the bills and I'm trying to write about that. So it's like, I'm getting pulled away by a client. It's a different story. If I'm getting pulled away because I'd rather go play with my kid than write, that's a different story. But I think the idea is more of, if you're going to write a book and that's not what you normally do with your business, you need to get the people around you that know what they do best. So you need, like you said, a good graphics person. You need, if you try to do it all yourself, and excuse the expression for anybody, it becomes half-assed.
Yeah, it does.
I've seen a lot of books on Amazon where I go look and it's $14.99 and I'm just looking at the cover and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That's a $14.99 book?
Yeah.
It looks like a $1.99 ebook.
Yeah. There's some really horrible covers out there. And I don't understand. I've come to the point where I will turn away books because I know I cannot market them because their grandchild, no offense to grandchildren, I have children of my own, designed the cover and it was so cute and it was so sweet. It's like, I'm so glad. I encourage anybody who wants to create a book for their family, to keep it in the family, to have something that they created, create that. You know, put it up on Amazon, sell 20 copies. Wonderful. And I'm not being sarcastic. I think that is something that it's an amazing technology that people can embrace, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. Then that's great for you. But for people who are, I get people to come to me and say, okay, I've created this book. You know, my wife's sister's mother was an English teacher and she edited it. And, you know, my brother Joe's uncle likes to draw on Photoshop, and he created the graphics for it.
He took the Mickey Mouse challenge where you have to freehand it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and I want to sell 800 books a month. Well, you know, see ya. That's not going to, I'm not the right person for you, you know? So I think the people have to have realistic expectations. I don't understand why so many people come into publishing and don't have realistic expectations, because they don't consider it an actual business. They don't have a plan. They don't have a marketing plan. They have no idea that they even need to be on social media. They think they can just put their book up and it's going to sell just because of the fact that it's up there. When anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 books are released every day on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. But
well, because I think people have this idea, it's like, oh, it's a book, it's going to hit this niche, and anybody who's in that niche is going to want to read my book, even though they don't know you from a hole in the wall.
Well, that's true. And the other thing is, just like any kind of multimedia, there's a whole behind the curtain going on that most authors, including myself initially, are completely naive about. Getting on Oprah's couch, it doesn't just happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's PR people and producers and so much money, excuse me, that changes hands just to get it in front of her, you know.
Oh, definitely. I see we had a comment in our gallery on Facebook. It's Jenny Mustafa Julak, who actually is a guest on this show next Tuesday.
Oh, yay.
And she has
Hi,
a
Jenny.
book coming out in September.
Oh, yay.
Hilda, it's called, and it's all about that person inside your head who's always the negative Nelly and
yes.
you know, that type of stuff.
Yes. I'm not trying to be negative.
and her comment automatically was, OMG, I did not expect my book to be so much work.
It's true. And the other thing to keep in mind is, and this is a huge mistake that authors make, so I'll address this just to Jenny. And I'm not saying that you're making this mistake, Jenny, is most authors wait till their book is out before they start marketing it. The ideal time to market your book is before it comes out, anywhere between 3 to 6. Yep, 3 to 6 months. And people will say, how can they market something that doesn't exist yet? And the thing is that with a book and in publishing, what we say is that you market the author, not the book. Because what's going to happen, hopefully, is that you will write more books. You will, because you're going about it in an intelligent, smart way. And for example, here's the perfect example of this. You create an author page. You don't create a book page on Facebook, okay? And the reason why is, let's say you put all this effort. Let's say I created a Broken Pieces book page. What happens when my Broken Places book comes out? Then I have to create a whole new page, and then a Broken People book comes out. So then I have 3 pages. Where's Rachel Thompson, author, in this? There, right? Does the book talk to you? I mean, a book can talk to people, but you see what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. It can resonate with people. But the whole point.
Plus the fact, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Plus the fact that when you use it as a author page, every time you release a new book, they're going down your feed and they're seeing your old book also. So now you have everything in one place.
That, and what's wonderful about, well, Facebook is really particular. I mean, I could talk about Facebook for an hour, but maybe I'll have to come back. But what's interesting about Facebook is you are not technically allowed, we all signed this contract, to sell any kind of book or service on your personal account.
Correct.
Right? So you have to use your page, which is where people go and like things. And that's why you can create ads and boost posts and do all that. So you technically, and this isn't just me making stuff up, go look it up. In fact, if you go to badredheadmedia.com/blog, I have a post in there with all the links and specifics with the legal language in there. You can look this up. You have to put all that on your page. And it behooves you, because that's where you can place your ads. That's what's going to show up at some point in Google. Technically, Google doesn't index Facebook, which is where most people spend their time. Authors, you need to be on Twitter, you need to be on YouTube, and you need to be on Google+. Not technically, Google+ Hangouts are going away, but Google+ brand pages are the same as Facebook author pages. And that's where you need to be, because the brand page is going to show up in your Google rankings before your Facebook pages. And most people, they just spend all their time on Facebook whining that their books aren't selling. But anyway, I'm like a squirrel right here. The point is, spend your time pre-marketing, building those relationships, teasing out quotes, interacting with people, following people with similar interests, because that's where your audience and your readers are going to be. Sign them up for your newsletter, ask them to be beta readers of your book. There's so much that you can be doing that's pre-marketing, so that when you actually get to the point of releasing your book, you've got this tribe of people who are like, okay, let's do this, let's go.
And one of the things also, when you fill out your business page and you have all that information, nothing is stopping you from sharing it from your business page to your profile page, because that is allowed. That's a loophole in the whole terms of service, because that's what you want people to do. You want people that go find your book and then share it from their business page to their people. Because if you're actually sharing the business page information, you're not doing it directly only on your profile.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing you can do is there's the Notes app. So you can make any post sticky, or you can make any, and you have notes on both your personal and your page.
Correct.
So you just have to
activate new stuff that they're doing with the notes now. You can embed video. You can. It looks like a blog.
Yeah, it's awesome, and you can put links in there.
The whole bit.
Yeah, and they don't go away. So that's what's great, is instead of pushing, you know, whatever posts come and they push it down, although you can pin a post, which is awesome, to your top of your.
But you got to keep changing them out depending what you're doing. But I was talking to somebody yesterday. I had a meeting with 3 ladies down here in Florida while I'm down here for a little bit, and we were talking about social media. We were talking about being different. Don't be part of the noise. You know, don't do what everybody else is doing. You got to be unique. You got to be yourself.
Yeah.
And we were coming up with different industries and how you can do things. And actually book writing came up. And one of the things I said was, when you have an area of your book that's pretty much set, I mean, there might be some minus, you know, editing and stuff like that. I would come on a Facebook Live and read, not a chapter, maybe just a couple pages, something that's juicy, to entice, saying, let me read you what I got so far. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think how because that actually video can be used as one of your ads later. Yep.
Yep. It's really changed a lot of what people are considering as part of their whole umbrella of their platform. And, you know, a lot of times with authors, they're very introverted. They're not comfortable on video. But I think
have a solution.
Go ahead.
There's an app called Anchor.
Sorry, say it again.
Anchor. There's an app.
I've heard of that.
Anchor.
But it's not video. Audio.
It's tied to Twitter. It's basically the Snapchat version. I mean, the Anchor is the version of Snapchat, but audio only.
Right.
People can actually send, they call them waves.
Yes.
And you can send a wave back to the person who did it. So you can build relationship stuff. But that wave that you speak, and by the way, it could be an hour long, it could be 5 minutes long. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you share that wave out and save it, and it becomes almost like an MP3. So now you got a little audio version that you can put on your website or on Facebook or on any place else to people to listen to you. And that might be good for those people that you're talking about that are introverted, that don't want to be on the camera.
Well, what I was going to say is that even though people are very introverted, social media is a super way to interact with people. And if they really are hesitant to do video, what I recommend doing is reading the first paragraph or 2 of your blog or of a work in progress. Because you're basically just like, hey, I'm here. Okay, I'm going to read from my work in progress. Okay, read. Okay, if you want to hear more, click here. And you're done. So you're really you don't have to be quote unquote on camera and talking to people. And you can sit there with a book in your face and kind of hide and then be done. And I really recommend that people blog, because I hear a lot of authors say, I don't have time to blog because I'm writing. Okay, well, the thing is that you want to be visible and found. And the way that you're visible and found is by Google discovering new content on your website. And so if you just don't have time to blog, then do a quick video and then post it to your site, and then send that traffic to your site. And so you can also post it over to Facebook and onto, you know, YouTube and Google Plus, because again, those are going to get picked up and, you know, yeah, those are going to get indexed. And so that's a great way to get traffic to your site. And remember that you own your site, and that's the most important thing. You're basically renting space on social media.
So we got another question, actually, and I
Sure.
think we touched it a little bit, but maybe a little bit more in depth we can get from Stephanie Ortiz. She's down in
Hey,
Virginia.
Steph. Hi, Steph.
She went, "Hi, Rachel. Do you think self-publishing is being overblown? And then also, how do you think publishers are responding in innovative ways to the digital revolution?" So we'll take the first part. Do you think self-publishing is being overblown?
Well, it depends on what you mean by overblown. Maybe she can clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess because it's become so big and
yeah.
everybody feels, oh, I'll just self-publish. I don't need to deal with anything.
Yeah. I think it depends, really. I think it's a wonderful for people. And there's so many factors that go into it. Some people, like myself, chose it simply because for me, it was a time issue. I really decided for me that, like I said, I had a 2-year-old. I had my daughter at the time was 7 going on 8. I was very busy. I was just starting to develop and think about my business. It just wasn't, people were very much encouraging me to go the traditional route, and I just was like, not going to happen. Eventually, I met with some agents. I did a number of trips back east. I went to BEA. I went to a couple of different conferences, big conferences, and I was grateful to meet with some agents who loved my humor books. But they weren't ready to sign me. They wanted to see a bigger platform. Isn't that interesting? At the time, my platform wasn't big enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking back on this now and I'm laughing. This one gal said, and she's a major agent, and I'm thrilled that she met with me and gave me really good advice, but she said she wanted to see me. At the time, I think I had barely 10,000 Twitter followers. And I got on Twitter in 2009. So this was probably 2010 that I met with, wanted me up to 25,000 followers, now 160,000. And I'm not trying to become like 500,000. If it happens, it happens. But, I work diligently to connect with people with similar interests. So I don't worry at this point if it's, this blow up million account. That's not important to me. What's important to me is that I have dedicated followers. So I laugh now that she was like, so adamant that my platform grow much bigger. And look, it's just kind of exploded because of the advocacy. And I'm not using my advocacy to grow my platform. It just sort of happened in such an organic, wonderful way. So I think for anybody who's planning to self-publish, I believe it has to be more than just about you. It has to be, how are you going to connect with people? What are you passionate about? And how can you share your message? And I think that really for anybody, no matter which direction you go, that's going to be major. And then also, like I said, making it professional and treating it like a business. Because regardless of whether you believe you're a professional or not, you're going to pay taxes on your royalties. You're going to get deposits into your bank account. So you really have to consider this as it is income. Even if it's $10, you're still going to pay taxes on that, depending on your total income. So you really need to look at it as a business.
And then the second part was, do you think publishers are responding? How do you think publishers are responding in innovative ways to the digital revolution?
I think some publishers are awesome. They are absolutely embracing the various ways that we can connect. And I like you were saying, using things like Periscope and, well, Blab's gone by the wayside, but connecting authors in ways that they probably couldn't have before. Like I have one author who does Skype book club interviews with people all over the world. And it's wonderful because she's older. She obviously can't make it to all these places. So, but people are reading her book. And that is how she's getting the majority of her book sales, is by doing Skype book clubs. And that was from her publisher. I think that is so fabulous because she's in her 70s. She can't make it to all these. Even if it was across town, I don't know that she could make it. But she's wonderful and interactive, and the fact that she's that much older and can get on Skype and interact with people, I think is fabulous. I think there are other publishers. I have one guy now who is published with a British publisher. They are doing nothing for him, and he is, I can't wait to share it. I'll have to tell you privately.
Oh boy.
But he
Back to the green room.
I know. He is world famous. These people are so stupid. They could be making so much money with this guy, and he's willing to do the work. And they can't even print his books on time and get him to, he filled the theater and people wanted to do a signing and they couldn't even get the books. I mean, it's just unbelievable how behind the times. I mean, this is just archaic how they are working. So I think it depends on the publisher.
Yeah, Jenny just wrote in there. She opted to self-publish, so her movement, because she has a nice following, could start faster. And she was saying waiting for a regular publisher to bless the book wasn't an option for her.
And I agree. I think that a lot of times, even if you do sign with a traditional Big Five publisher, it could be a year, it could be 18 months. Your book could look completely different than what your vision is. And that's what's really nice about publishing, is that you have total control over it. Now, I do believe, like I said, that you have to work with an editor. I've worked with terrific editors. And you really have to give in and trust the process. And that's what I feel is very important about going through the editing process.
I know, I'm laughing because I'm a big, I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. I mean, once live streaming hit the course with Periscope, I pretty much can give up on cable. All I need is the internet. I got my cell phone and I got my social media, and that's all I need.
Yeah.
I can watch TV shows, I got YouTube, I can do everything I want right on my computer. I don't need the TV.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of shows I still watch. I mean, I don't know why, I just have to watch Shark Tank. I watch them rip apart people trying their dreams out there and then get deals possibly or not. And then I find out over 50% of those deals never happen because of things that are not told or whatever else.
I know, it's so disappointing.
And then there's this show called The Prophet.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
And this is a man named Mark Lemonis, who is I don't know, he's probably worth $160, $175 million.
Wow.
He's built businesses all around the world, and these people come in, he comes in and he invests in their company, but he gets total control. And one of the lines he said, you just said. Trust
the process.
Yes.
It's true.
You have to trust the process.
Yep, it's very, very true. And that's
why I had my head going, oh my God.
So many authors, and I learned this in my first book. Well, my first book was kind of a disaster, I will say. I didn't love my editor, but that was a weird situation, which I won't go into. But especially the Broken Book, where it was such an organic, vulnerable story to talk about surviving sexual abuse, and to entrust that with somebody who was great, Jessica Swift. And it's hard to give your baby to somebody, especially when it has such meaning for you, and you know that other people are going to be reading it and could, possibly have a reaction to it. And she was so amazing to work with. And I think that what you really, why I say trust the process, is because somebody's going to take that and say, well, this line doesn't really work, but maybe if we did this, or maybe this chunk can go in the back and this one can go in the middle, and let's move this one forward and let's take this one out altogether. And you're like, you know,
You're changing everything.
yeah. But I truly believe she noticed things in that book that I didn't even see. And so that's why I say trust the process, because you will come out with something beautiful if you have a really good editor. And I believe that so many authors who don't even edit their, you can't edit your own work. I truly believe that you cannot. And by not doing that, I think you're cheating not only yourself, but your readers. And that's why it's so important to work with professionals.
And there's so many areas of the book to really have done, because I mean, Jenny's being verbal on our thing, and I love it.
Oh, good.
She's going, I agree. She hired a developmental editor.
Awesome.
A copy
I
editor.
did too. Yep.
A copy editor and a proofreader.
Oh, you have to have them all. Absolutely. Yep. I totally agree.
She wants the book to be as great as possible. And
absolutely.
You know, the fact you're talking trust the process. I mean, here's Jenny. She's doing this, this,
Perfect.
this. Perfect. So now you got your book all set up. Let's talk marketing. Let's talk, we talked a little bit in the green room about relationships and about this stuff.
Yeah.
So let's get this out there, because I think this is extremely important.
Well, hopefully what you've already done is already have set up your website. I prefer WordPress.org because you can, it's the self-hosted, you fully own it, as opposed to, .com is free, although there are some paid options. But I like the .org, and I'm not a website guru. I actually hire people. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. I hire somebody to do graphics for me. I do all my own blogging. I do all my own optimization. You can start that at any time. Set up your Twitter, your Facebook author page, not book page, your Google Plus brand page, and look that up. You don't want a business page unless you own a business, but being an author, you need what's called a brand page. And I'll tell you why in a second, so remind me to get back to that. I think LinkedIn is very helpful. You need something visual, either Instagram or Pinterest. I have both. I don't know that you have to have both, but whatever. If you're into Snapchat, awesome, do that, whatever, it's up to you. Think about who your demographic is. If you're writing, YA fiction, then you need to be where your readers are. So many authors go where they are comfortable, which is a huge mistake. Most authors, like I said, are on Facebook. Is that where your demographic is? Probably not, unless your demographic is older people. No offense, I'm older too. I'm 50. What am I? 52? I think I'm 52.
I think it depends what like you said, depends what your demographic book. Like my book is about business and live streaming. So believe it or not, Facebook is a good area for me because of
that
Facebook
is your
Live.
Demographic. Yeah. Right. And I wrote it again, I'm not trying to sell people here. Go to my blog. I've written about all of these topics, how to find your demographic. I give specific links, and I give a case study how I had helped somebody, one of my clients, find his demographic. And I go to Pew Research is awesome, and you can go in there and it gives you all of the details about so many different types of people and where they go and all that kind of stuff, and exercises to do. And then this one I will put in the plug, the 30-day marketing challenge. The book's going to be stupid cheap. I mean, I don't even think it'll be $5 for the ebook. And some people want print. I would recommend getting the ebook version, because I swear to God, social media is changing every 2 weeks. Twitter has an update or Facebook has an update. And so I'll continually keep updating it in the ebook version, but people want a paperback version. So whatever, that's up to you. But anyway, you need to have your platform set up and start interacting. I wouldn't say aggressively follow people, because Twitter will shut you down. They won't shut down trolls and haters, but they'll shut down people if you don't even get me started. But
that's the third show we'll do together.
No, right? But the point is that you want to pick up the foundation, and this is what I say in almost every post that I do. The foundation of your platform are your keywords. This is like branding 101 in like 30 seconds or less. Pick 5 keywords that you are passionate about, that are important to you as a person, because you're a 3-dimensional person. So for example, I, as my author platform, not Bad Redhead Media, talk about obviously childhood sexual abuse, relationships, divorce, love, loss. Those are like my 5 main ones. But then I have my backups that are much lighter, because I did write a humor book. So there you'll find me talking about humor. I talk about social media on both because it's a passion for me. I talk about my cat. I talk about Nutella. Everybody knows that I talk about Nutella. And I talk about what
for the holidays, a big box of Nutella.
Hey, all for it. I talk about what a horrible cook I am. That's probably why I love Nutella so much. So, you know, it's a good idea to have your 5 main ones and your 5 backups. And then you look for people with similar interests, you know, under search, or I use a program called Manage Flitter. It's Flitter. They have a free version or a paid version, which is like $12 a month or something. And that's how you're going to basically decide what you're going to write about in your blog posts. Set up a calendar and put in, you know, on whatever, Thursdays of this week, I'm going to write about dogs. On Thursday of next week, I'm going to write about real estate. Then, you know, next week I'm going to write about, you know, iPhones, whatever it is that you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be just about your book all the time, because you are not that one note person. You are a 3-dimensional person. So write about what you're passionate about.
And we were talking, you know, prior to coming on live, we had that 15, 20 minutes. We were just making sure everything was good, was about this relationship business.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's all about building.
I mean, you and I grew up with the mentality of not throwing it against the wall and waiting to see what sticks and buys from us, about building.
Yeah.
So
and that is definitely, sorry, I got off track. That is absolutely my focus. And I think anybody who follows me knows that, is you absolutely have to focus on building relationships with people. And social media is great for that. Absolutely positive.
We're an example of it. I mean, we started talking 3 weeks ago.
I know, right? And then we're like buds, right?
Every day we're chatting on Messenger.
I know. And it's not like I'm like, hey, Robert, you have to purchase my services or I can't talk to you. You know, it's not that way at all. Now, there are a number of people who approach me saying, hey, can you start my social media for me, but I can't pay you. No, it's not going to work that way. I offer so much free stuff for authors. Go read my blog. Come to Book Marketing Chat every Wednesday at 6 o'clock on Twitter, 6 p.m. Pacific time.
What's that hashtag for that one? Because some of the people that are authors, maybe they want to just follow it and they can see old stuff. What?
Book Marketing Chat. That's all it is.
Hashtag Book Marketing Chat. So, okay.
Yeah. And we have a public Facebook page, obviously on Facebook. Just go to Book Marketing Chat, just type it in, it comes up. And I pin a summary to that week's summary to the top on the page. So even if people aren't on Twitter and they hate Twitter, which I don't recommend, learn it because it's indexed by Google, thank you very much. You can go to our Facebook page and read every week's summary. And then I also do a blog post on my Bad Redhead Media blog, which kind of goes into the specifics of each one. And we've had amazing guests. Someone from Buffer came, someone from CoSchedule came. I had a graphic artist come and talk about how they use visuals for their social media and their marketing platform. Sometimes it's just me yabbering away like this. I had a gal who's very successful, Kate Tilton, who super successful, getting just thousands of people share her stuff on Pinterest. And so she was talking about specifically what she does. And she's an author assistant. She was my author assistant for quite a while. We absolutely parted on terrific terms. She was just growing so much. And so she came back and did one on Pinterest. So, there's just so many different ways that you can build relationships with people. And Pinterest is great I love Pinterest. And you can schedule pins now. So, and the other thing I wanted to say is for building relationships, it's not all about, here's my book. I hate those automated DMs. Hi, nice to meet you. Follow me on Facebook. Here's my book. Go download it. Write me a review. It's like, I don't even know you. You don't even know me. Like, get rid of that. If you are one of those authors with an automated DM and you're watching this, go cancel it right now. It's better to not say anything than to be sending people that.
Yeah, I have subscription groups now on Facebook in different industries to help them with their social media. And I actually came up with scripts. And you're going to like this one, I think. Using Facebook Messenger. You could also use it on Instagram. You can also use it on Twitter. And you go into the private message side. Now, we all friend tons of people on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't talk to everybody.
Right.
And especially the way the feeds are going these days, even if you do lists or not, and you set your people up in lists, you still, the feeds are very, very fast. Even on Facebook, Twitter, forget, you blink and things are like, 200 posts away already.
Yeah.
And I actually started, and I'm doing it as a case study for myself, because I heard about it. Last week, I wrote 25 in one day. Facebook messages to people that I'm friends with on Facebook. And the gist of it was, hey, Rachel, first of all, I have to apologize. I know we've been friends on Facebook, but the way Facebook gets informal sometimes, I don't always get to see your posts. So I definitely want to get to know more about you since we are friends. I see you're in the book industry. Do you like it? And how long have you been doing it? And that's all I wrote. I sent 25 posts out. Guess how many answers I got back?
25.
Yes. I am now having conversations with all 25 of those people.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And I didn't make it about me.
Right.
I apologized. Because, hey, you friend people on Facebook. Why are you friending them? Just so they could see your posts?
Yeah. Most people are. Yeah.
But I'm taking the initiative. I'm sorry I haven't reached out to you sooner and I can't see your post as much.
Yeah.
I want to know more about you.
Yeah. Now, it would be interesting on Twitter to do that.
Think about that. And actually, there was a thing about hashtags. Lindsay Fisher's in the audience.
Hi, Lindsay.
She's like, oh, I've talked to you. She's talked to you about marketing quite a lot. She loves talking to you, by the way. And there's a lot of authors that shy away from the work about marketing.
Yes.
She wrote, hashtags are so helpful in the terms of finding your crew on every social media platform. She thinks Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, now that all accept hashtags, it is streamlining the process to finding people and topics that you can build on.
Absolutely true. And I think Lindsay has a great point, and it's something that we have definitely discussed. It's super helpful when you're optimizing your bios in Twitter, especially, but also boyfriend.
He's trying to grab his 5-second fame.
I know, right? But they create hyperlinks. So no matter where you're putting them, it's going to create, even Facebook has adopted that, or adapted that, I guess, as well. So, definitely, except for Pinterest in the bios, but in your, if you have to optimize your pins in Pinterest, which is, like I said, a whole other topic, but it's on my blog. You want to make sure that you put your hashtags in because it'll create a hyperlink. And the reason you want to create a hyperlink is because you'll come up higher in search. So absolutely, Lindsay, great point. I did do a book marketing chat with Ben from CoSchedule about the use of hashtags. There's some wonderful information on the Buffer blog and the CoSchedule blog about those that I reference in the blog that I discuss on my own blog post about hashtags. And I've shared it multiple times on my Bad Redhead Media page and on my Bad Redhead Media Twitter as well. What kind of drives me crazy is, it's really funny, is when I do sex abuse chat and book marketing chat, and people will jump in and to the chats and they'll answer questions. Like I'm asking a guest a question, it'll say Q1 and here's the question, and it's directed, like it'll say to Robert C. Stern with a question mark, and it'll say book marketing chat, and then they'll answer the question like I'm asking them, some random person. It's really hilarious. Like they'll completely.
It depends on your chat also, because there are chats that they put questions out and they want everybody to answer the question.
Right.
And then you have some that you have guests that you want to ask the question and have them, and then everybody respond to his answer.
Well, I'm totally cool with people jumping in. It's just use the hashtag. And so that's one of the things that I think people have to understand, is that the hashtag is there for a reason. So, you know,
so everybody can see everything that's being said and going on. In order too, that it comes out.
Yeah, so just understand the culture of the social media channel that you're on. For example, I'm not a Redditor. I find Reddit to be very confusing, and they're kind of mean. Sorry?
What about Tumblr?
I'm personally not on Tumblr just because I have so much already. But I think for people, like a lot of people, like I said, don't like to blog, and Tumblr is a great way to just post something and be on your merry way. So I think for that kind of person who especially authors and artists who want to post visual content, I think Tumblr's great.
Great. Well, I put your Wednesday hashtag book marketing chat on Twitter from 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you.
I put that in the chat so people have it.
Awesome.
And I put to reach you and see your blog. They should go to, is it badredheadmedia.com?
Yes.
Good, because I got that in the chat.
And just click on I think it's articles instead of blog, but yeah.
Got to be different, don't you?
I know. It's the red hair.
So if coming to a close, just, you know, because I mean, it's coming on 1:30. I don't want to keep everybody crazy. The most important tip, I'm going to make it one. I'm going to make you really think now, because I know there's millions. If you could give one tip right now to people that have books coming out, that are writing books, and on the marketing side, and we talked about Facebook already with doing the author page and stuff like that. So one tip, if they're going to be involved and they need to start marketing their book, what would the one tip be?
It's all about relationships.
Simple and to the point.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it.
Build the relationships.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm a big believer that it's more important to have one person loyal following you than 10,000 people that are following you that really don't care about you.
I completely agree. That's why I said, you know, I mean, I'm thrilled and thankful that I have a big following, and I've worked hard for that over many years. But like I said, I'm not worried that I'm going to, you know, grow to be this huge, you know, 500,000, 1 million following. That's not in any way, shape, or form my goal. I just want to interact with the people who are my dedicated followers.
We got one more question that came in, and actually it's a good question, so I'm going to add it in.
Okay, sure.
It's from our buddy Jenny in California.
Hi, Jenny.
You're going to have to come on and listen to her about her book on Tuesday.
I'd love to.
What are the most common mistakes that first-time authors have when they launch their books? Because she would like to try to avoid some of them.
Okay.
That's a good question.
It is a really good question. I would say pricing your book too high. A lot of first-time authors, especially your ebook. I see a lot of $9.99. Excuse me. I would make sure that your ebook is priced, you know, for like $5.99 or lower, because people really are nervous. They get a little, you know, twitchy about investing in an author who they don't know. Do they know something is coming as well? Do you have a second work in progress that you can put at the end of this book? Or if it's too late, if it's on to press and you can't add it in, maybe you could add in to the next edition, because they want to know that something else is coming. So that's something that I see. I also see people, a lot of newbie authors will react to low-rated reviews. Don't do that. Don't ever respond to a review. I don't even respond to 5-star reviews, especially on Amazon, because you can't, even if you delete it, it's somewhere on the internet. Absolutely wouldn't ever respond to a low-rated review. This is what I tell authors, and I personally had to learn this myself, of course. Once your book is out there, you're no longer invited to the party. So that person has every right to hate your book, to misinterpret it, to think that you're a total jerk, to create an ad hominem attack against you, because they paid for that book. Now, if the review is completely abusive, or someone's stalking you, or whatever, you can report a review for abuse. But I would still never, ever respond to a reviewer. And that's my biggest advice, because it's so hard for new authors to take criticism.
So even if somebody gives you the 5-star review, it doesn't pay to acknowledge them that they did that?
I personally used to say, thank you so much for the review, but you'll even be criticized for that.
Interesting.
Now, I do feel that if somebody writes a review about your book on their blog and then shares it, it's perfectly acceptable to thank them for their review, to go to the blog and say thank you so much, and start a dialogue there, or on Twitter, or on Facebook, or whatever. Totally acceptable. But even on social media, I would avoid any kind of interaction, where somebody, it just gets ugly. So if people jump in, especially on Goodreads, oh, nasty. And don't forget Goodreads.
Oh, she's only answering the good reviews.
It just doesn't play well. And don't forget Goodreads. A lot of people forget Goodreads. Make sure your book is there.
What is Goodreads? I'm not familiar with Goodreads.
People call Goodreads the Facebook of Amazon, or reading. It's owned by Amazon now. It didn't used to be. It's a place where readers gather. It's huge. Look it up. You can only put your book up once it's released. So Jenny, just make sure you do that once your book is released. But you can create an account now as a reader. And don't be pushy. You join a bunch of groups, but don't be like, hey, I'm here, read a book. You don't want to do that either. In fact, you want to take a look at the book marketing chats. We've done 2 so far about Goodreads. And so make sure that you read those, or go to my blog and review the blog posts written by Naomi Blackburn. She's one of the top Goodreads reviewers, and she's a friend of mine.
And then she also just added, you said about the $5.99 with the ebook and everything. What about print? I mean, is there
print? There's actually, CreateSpace will give you a sorry, I'm blanking on the word, like a
range.
Yeah, they'll give you a range, and they'll say, okay, if it's this many pages and this many words, here's what the typical price would be. So, and
it varies.
Yeah, Google it. I mean, you could actually Google it for your ebook too. I mean, there's no harm in doing a launch price of like 99 cents for the first week, just to get it out there and get a good ranking, and then putting it up to what the normal price might be. I mean, I don't know what your book is about. If it's nonfiction, my books are not.
I told you about Hilda, about the mindset with the negative. thoughts and stuff like that.
Yeah, depending on how many pages it is. Sometimes it's just very practical. If it's 150 pages, price it $4.99. If it's 250 pages, price it at $6.99. You know, lower priced books will always do better. If you're KDP Select, meaning exclusive to Amazon, then you know you might end up getting better rankings. There's so many different factors. So you know, depending on which way Jenny goes, the pricing
great.
too. Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I mean, you gave a lot of tidbits.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you again. Maybe we'll do another talk about another subject. Maybe we'll bring in one of your book things and we can talk about the books a little more. Or as we said about Facebook and everything else, we could talk hours and hours. You know, somebody said that to me once. They go, well, could you go over Facebook, you know, everything about it? And I said, well, if I'm live streaming about Facebook, I'll start Monday morning at 9 a.m. and I'll end Friday at 10 p.m. It will be continuous 24 hours a day.
I'm honestly, and then by the time you get to Friday, they'll have changed something. So
they'll change the algorithm or something. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Twitter already changed the layout from 2 days ago. From yesterday, it's already different. So
I know. Everything's, you have to stay. That's my job in social media. I have to stay on top of every platform. That's why what's worse.
People keep asking me, I know we need to go, but people keep asking me why the 30-day challenge isn't out yet. It's like, at some point, I just have to cut it off because Twitter's made 5 changes this month alone. So, you know, at some point, I just have to say, as of today, this is where it is.
Facebook is going to be changing very, very soon.
You know what? I just have.
Their live streaming. Their live streaming is going to 2 people.
Yeah, you know,
we can actually do this on a live stream on Facebook.
Yeah, we should be able to. Well, and that's why the Google Hangouts are going bye-bye. So, you know.
Well, they're not actually going bye-bye.
They're moving.
They're moving into YouTube.
Yeah. So. Well, the thing about the 30-day challenge is I only have about 4 days on Facebook. So, you know, it's not like I have a whole month. I will have a book that is on Facebook and one that's on Twitter and one that's on blogging, and that's all coming in the pipeline. But this first book is sort of just a little umbrella.
As you go to press, make sure it's the same information and it didn't change. That's the problem about a social media book.
Oh, I know.
By the time it gets printed and you go to market it, it could have changed.
Well, that's why I did a book marketing book. So it's here are the things you need to do to market your book 101.
It's about live streaming. So yeah, I'm keeping it a little bit more, talking about platforms that are no longer.
Yes.
Your cat, Blab.
I know. So, they came and went.
Yeah. So I thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, A Conversation Live.
Thank you.
Tuesday's conversation is, in our audience, Jenny Mustafa Julak with her book.
Good luck. Good luck, Jenny.
Her book's name is Hilda, and it's all about the negativity that's in your brain telling you, you know, and we're going to talk really about this stuff because we all have it in us. Everybody's telling us, you know, oh, don't do that, you're going to fail, or this or that or whatever. And it sounds amazing. I've known Jenny for a while now. I actually met her on Blab, and I'm so looking forward to talking to her about this book. So again, thank you, Rachel, for joining us.
Thanks, Robert.
And we will talk to you guys on Tuesday. I hope you have the great rest of your week.
Bye.